Okay, that was weird. My camera is like shut off again, or the live stopped again. I don't understand why it keeps doing this. And I don't know if it's my connection or if it's my camera. I don't know. The other day, my computer totally rebooted, and I'm like, no, don't do this. Don't do this to me, please. Please don't do this to me. So it's been no bueno. It's okay. I'll survive. I live. I live to stitch another day. I'll record another day. Who is this? Hey, Carrie. What's up, girl? What you been up to? Are you taking over the world one stitch at a time? Oh, okay. Cool beans. Usually you go mornings instead of afternoons. One stitch at a time. Yeah, so I'm having issues. I'm having technical issues with my it's either my computer, the connection, or the camera is causing issues. And it's been doing this from this month, so I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, I think that's long enough. So these are bloomers to go with the baby dress that I'm working on. It's a baby dress set, getting ready for my next market. I don't know if this is going to sell. I really don't. I think people are going to be really tight with their wallets, but I'm going to put it out there anyway because you never know. If you can't sell it unless you have it, right? Right. But these are the dresses. Okay. So I've got 3 different sizes. I've got a 6 to 12. No, I'm sorry. 0 to 3, 3 to 6, and 6 to 12. Yeah, 6 to 12. And I was like, you know what? They need bloomers, because I have a feeling that's what people are going to be looking for. It would be more of a cohesive set. Um, 2 different designers. This dress is made by Elena Mitchell. I actually purchased a pattern a while back, like a few years ago, actually, probably about like 4 years ago. And then this one is a free pattern here on YouTube by a channel called Crochet for Baby. And so and it's real similar to the same stitch motif. So the dress has a motif of double V stitch, and then a V stitch, double V stitch, V stitch. So, but these are all double V stitch. And I tried to match that and I couldn't get it to come out evenly. And I didn't want to frog it to, the entire band to make sure like I add another stitch. I was like, nah, forget it. Forget it. I'll just make it all double V. No one's really gonna be noticing what the diaper cover looks like. You know, it'll just be mostly for the actual dress itself. And then I still have to sew on um, the uh, the flowers and the buttons, and they'll be and I have a ribbon belt for that too, and then those will be done. And I don't think those will take me that long. But these little bloomers. Like yesterday, I was trying to do the bloomers and I kept falling asleep sitting up. I was getting, that just like exhausted, like tired. You're just like, I'm getting ready to fall asleep. And was doing that sitting up. And I was like, I don't like this. This is not fair. I don't want to take a nap. Napping is not in my agenda. No naps. It's no bueno. Okay, I gotta look at this video. No naps. And I don't want to take a nap. I really just don't want to. Let's see. Where is that? Kittens. Oh, I love looking at kittens. Okay. So let me do this, and then I'm gonna. All right. Sorry. Let's see. I need to make this a certain length. And so I got to go back and look at it. Let's go fast forward. Prepare to fast forward. Fast forward. Go. Okay, so measuring about 17.5 centimeters, which is about 7 inches. Okay, so let me see if I've got 7 inches. And I have a feeling that's more like 5 inches, so I might have to do a couple more rows. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's see how accurate I am on my visual measuring. Okay, I'm only at 4 inches. So I need like that much more. Yeah. So, yeah. I probably got like 4 more rows to go at least. Maybe 5 more rows. So I actually got to go and see a yarn store on Tuesday, and got to oogle and touch all the pretty yarn. It was so nice. And you know what? It was like right next to. It was like like across the street in another shopping center from the Joann's that I like to go at. And I didn't know it was there this whole time. I was like, oh, I didn't know this was here. So I know how to get to it. I can get to it really easy on the bus. So if I ever wanted to go down there and get some bougie yarn, the bougie yarn store, I can do that. And also though, like if I'm making things for like my family and my friends, I'm definitely want to get some of the good yarn for them. Like, look, I went out and I spent the money. I made you this extra special Daily Whopper just for you. And you're going to love it because I made it. And I made it with the good stuff, I would like to like my sister to go with me to a yarn store and have her pick out, yarn that colors that she would like, the texture she would like, and then I would make something for her out of it. That's what I would like to do. And then make something really awesome for her. That's what I would love to do. Should probably pick something with silk in it. Like merino and silk. And be like, yeah, I don't blame you there. It's so nice. So I also have been binge listening to, I did binge listen to the Skein and Talk. Skein and Tell. I'm sorry. Skein and Tell podcast from Hobie. So Gia is actually the host of this podcast. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. So some of it was really interesting, like especially when she was going into the podcast, when she was talking about the the different types of sheep and the different types of yarn that are out there. What they're made out of, like Angora and cashmere and merino and some of the history behind it, mohair. She didn't go too much into depth of it, but she did pretty good. And I really did enjoy listening to some of that. I thought that was pretty interesting. And so it's something I did not know, and I'm probably going to look into it. But like the last segment, she was talking about the different animals, the sheep for that they use for like mohair and everything. So it was originally, what was it, from Spain, or was it France? It's like one of those southern European countries. I don't remember. There was so much information. I don't remember all of it. But some of them had, they were, no, it was out of Turkey. It was out of Turkey, of course. Yeah. And like, a lot of like the Turkey royalty would not let, these particular sheep out of the country. And they use only for royalty and just, for mohair. And some of them, the sheep had, were smuggled out. And I did not know this, that Texas is really well known for raising mohair sheep. And I was like, really? That's interesting. I need to go back and listen to it again and really kind of just do the research on it. And I was like, that's neat. Like, yeah, I could totally get into some, maybe I can find somebody who's raising mohair sheep here in Texas. Like maybe go to a mohair sheep farm. Ranch. That would be neat though. I would really like totally enjoy that. I just kind of want to check it out. I wonder if they do, if something like that, you could do like an agricultural tour of something like that. That would be really neat. And most places do, especially, if you're raising animals and, specialized animals, I actually, help them bring in some revenue. So I think that would actually be a really neat educational experience. I know my friend that I went to go hang out with on Tuesday would love to go do that. She's my yarny friend. I mean, she's been my friend since like, the school days, but I didn't realize she was a yarny until about like 5 years ago. And so that was cool. Well, she didn't crochet for the longest time, and then she picked it back up. And so I think she does it for fun. She doesn't do it like, in all the seriousness that I'm into. But she's a little serious about it. She explores different sides of it than I do. Like she actually went and bought a drop spindle and some roving, and was trying to spin her own yarn, and she was carding it and everything like that. And I was like, that's cool. I haven't done that, And I bet if she and I probably would have a lot of fun dyeing our own yarn together. That would be a lot of fun. I think she would get a kick out of that. That would be a lot of fun together. I should suggest that. Back a while ago, maybe a couple of years ago, if I remember, no, maybe even a year ago, Hobby Lobby had undyed yarn, and I don't think they do it anymore. I don't think they have anymore. I don't recall seeing it. But that's back when they used to do the hand-dyed hanks and everything. They don't have that anymore. But it was nice. It was nice yarn. I liked it. It was merino wool, and it felt pretty nice. And it was pretty reasonable. It was, on average, the hanks were about like, $13. And that's for a hand dyed hank, that's not half bad. Yeah, but yeah, they downsized all that stuff. I just don't think that their clientele really kind of understood like what that entailed. I think they're, if you have someone who's using hand dyed, um, you know, I think they have a different mindset as opposed to somebody who's buying, affordable yarn at a big box store, like say Hobby Lobby or something like that, or Michaels. It's just a different standard, and I think there's a different mentality for it, because it's like, you know, it's just like the quality of the yarn that you get from the hand dyers or exclusive yarn shops, etc. It's the quality is so much. It's just so different, and you get a different sense for the projects that you want to make. Like, I don't think I would do hand dyed yarn for my markets. Like, I want to make something that's inexpensive, keep my price point down. Okay. Time is it? It's almost time. And then today, since today is Thursday, so my market's on Saturday. I do need to maybe do a mock setup. So sometimes that's really helpful for figuring out placement of things and of what you have on hand. Now, this time around, I'm also going to have mystery bags. And I have these cute little mystery bags that I had purchased. And I'm going to put them on my wooden rack and see how those do. So that means that everything that's on the wooden rack needs to go someplace else. Or I can put them on the top shelf of the wooden rack. Actually, I might do that. Just might do that. I don't know. I'll have to play with it and see. And everything. And I also need to look at the weather and see if it's going to be windy. So last month when I did this market, it was really, really windy. The day didn't start out that way, but it eventually got really gusty, and the wind was so strong it pushed my crates over. So I have these old, I wouldn't say old, but they're repurposed wine crates. Because I have a friend who's a sommelier, and for one of our premier steakhouses in Dallas, and he gets wine in and everything, and they've got these wooden crates, and so I was like, "Hey, can I have some?" He's like, "Yeah, no problem." And so I did take out some of the nails and staples from it and sanded them down because they're not meant for display purposes; they're mainly just for shipping. And so and they're wood. So, but they don't have slats in the bottom. There's nothing for airflow. And I was sitting there thinking, well, maybe I need to like drill some holes into them on the bottom so we can have some airflow because the wind was so strong on the last month and that last month's market that it blew off the crates onto the ground. The ones I had, on the top, like the top three. And I kind of had them stacked up like a pyramid. And it just totally blew them off. So I'm thinking, like, okay, how can I remedy this? Because, you get the crates that, that a lot of people have from, Hobby Lobby or Michael's, Joann's, those types of crates. They actually have like a slotted bottom, and, the, air can actually pass through those. And so I think that would be definitely better. But I kind of like the rustic look of my wine crates. I just think it just adds a little bit more charm to it. That's just me personally speaking. I like how that fan looked. Or it's a double V fan. Double V stitch fan. So I also need to check that out, see if it is going to be windy. And I think today, I think it's far enough out to where you can actually determine what the weather is actually going to be like. I know it's going to be sunny. It's going to be about like mid 70s, which is what it has been all week. It's been pleasant. And my irises are blooming. I'm happy about that. They only bloom for about like a week and a half, but that's it. And it makes me happy. Just like my daffodils in the backyard. My purple irises are in the front yard. It makes me happy. I didn't think they were going to bloom because I didn't think it got cold enough for them. But I got quite a few that are blooming. So I'm like, hey, yeah. It makes me happy. And I planted yesterday. So I planted 3 different types of tomato yesterday, which is an orange, a green, and a type of cherry tomato. It's like a dwarf cherry tomato plant. But they produce a lot of little tomatoes, but they don't get really big. So which is really ideal, especially if you're doing indoor gardening or if you want to do like a container garden or something like that. And then I also planted okra and zucchini. I planted some, peppermint and Korean mint. I never had Korean mint, so I ordered some a while back, like last year. And so I planted some of that. Just going to give it a shot, see if it's any good. I want to say it's going to be good because they say, on description, it kind of has a slight licoricey kind of flavor. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds kind of good. I don't mind licorice. I don't like a strong licorice, but I like a mild licorice. I don't mind it. Um, and so let's see, what else did I plant? I planted. What else did I plant? I planted something others. I planted some thyme, some more thyme. I have been crazy for thyme. Like we had like this one thyme plant, and it's just made buckets of thyme for us, you know. But I've been eating it like in almost everything that I cook lately. It's just so good, especially with like Mediterranean style cooking, which is what I've been doing mostly lately. Not 100%, but like a lot of Mediterranean style cooking. And which is, you know, a lot of emphasis on eating fresh, you know, not eating packaged items, you know, things like that. And that's kind of how I roll, you know. I'm a fresh cook. I don't like eating things out of boxes. Every now and again, I'll get something frozen. You know, I use some canned items. Um, like I always have in stock for myself canned diced tomatoes and tomato paste, and I'm starting also to keep chicken stock on hand all the time too. I mean, it's not that I can't make my own chicken stock, and I could. It's not hard to make. It's just it's like, you know, if I get it from Kroger, it's like, you know, usually about $2 a carton for the organic free range chicken stock. And I'm like, okay, that works. That works for me. And, you know, I just eat a lot of, you know, vegetables mostly, you know, but um, a lot of the seasonings and marinades that I've been doing have had a lot of oregano and a lot of thyme in it. And I tell you what, it's really really good on a lot of stuff. And I was gonna plant some oregano. I swear I thought I had oregano. I swear I thought I ordered some oregano, and I just didn't. I couldn't find it. We keep our seeds in my refrigerator in the garage, so I was like, I'm gonna have to go out and get an oregano seedling because I want to have oregano, and I've been crazy for oregano recently, and I also want some basil too because I like caprese salad and things like that. Caprese is really really good, or even just putting some basil in my salad, you know, or you know, I just like to have basil. You know, I really like basil. And I know there's different types, but just a regular sweet basil would be fine for me. And I absolutely love parsley. Parsley is right up there. Of course, cilantro. But you know, just to have these basic herbs, you know, handy. What else did I grew? Oh yeah, I planted dill. You know, and I also planted cucumbers. That's what else I planted. I planted pickling cucumbers because I was like, I'm really frustrated because I went, you know, whenever I go to buy pickles, so sometimes they have alum in it, and alum is aluminum, and it's like a preserving agent. Okay, and sometimes I don't want that, and also sometimes they put a lot of sugar in your pickles, and which is fine. You know, sugar actually is you know, part of your curing agents or pickling agent, you know, pickling brines and things like that. And that's fine. I get that. But I can also substitute that for like you know, like something like maple syrup or agave or something like that. I wouldn't use honey because honey has a tendency to develop botulism. Um, I don't know 100% on that, but I think that's what I've heard. Like, don't use honey for canning, but I don't know. But like one of my favorite things to make right now is to make homemade jelly, and then one of the jellies that I'll make, they call it skillet jam or skillet. I guess it's called skillet jam, but it's sweetened with honey. And I'm like, dude, I can totally like can this. So I'll have to look into it just a little bit more on the canning aspect of canning honey. Um, but, I also want to make my own bread and butter pickles. I've made bread and butter jalapenos. About like 3 or 4 years ago, we had like a whole bunch of jalapenos and they weren't even spicy. I don't know why they weren't spicy, but they weren't even spicy. But we had like a boatload of them, and I made bread and butter jalapenos. So they had a good flavor, but they just weren't spicy at all. But I made them bread and butter style, and I made it with maple syrup. So there was no refined sugar in it. That was cool. But also in canned in jarred pickles in the grocery store, sometimes they have like yellow dye number 40. And I'm like, why? And it's just to help people think that it looks more appealing, And so I'm just like, you know what? I want my own pickle relish and things like that. So I want to make it organic, and sugar free. And, I just like, you know what? I can do this myself. So I plant some pickling cucumbers and see how that works out for me. It could go really, really good, or it can go really, really bad. Or it can just, kind of be, meh. We shall see. But it means I've got to go out there and build more raised beds because I've got all these things that are planted in the backyard. And so, yeah. And so I also have a problem with cats going potty in my raised bed. And one of them kind of messed up one of my green bean plants. And I was like really kind of pissed off today about that. And I had some, they call it hardware wire or hardware fabric. Anyway, so basically it's just this big roll of, like metal grid. Okay. So it's like grid wire, so I had like a panel of it just going over the bed, just kind of in the middle. I'm thinking, okay, that's going to be good enough. No, the little sucker went there was like this much space in between the panel and the side that was not exposed. And they went right there, right by my little green bean seedling. And I was just like, you little, So I put more paneling over it. They can't get into the bed now at all whatsoever. And I was thinking like, oh, that's going to be good enough. They're not going to, mess with it. No, little turkey messed up my flower bed, my gardening bed. So I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And then my strawberries that I've had planted for a while, they take about 2 years. And I went to do some weeding, and as I was weeding, I was looking at the bed, and they kind of really have spread. So they have like the whole bed is just filled with strawberry plants. And I know some flowers in there, and then some of the flowers already had fallen off, and some of the berries are starting to form. And I was like, rock on. Yeah, I'm going to have some strawberries this year. And then I bought, while I was at Hobby Lobby, I went and bought some tulle to put on top of it. And so the light will come in and the air and the rain will come in, but the birds won't get at it. And I'm like, yes, or squirrels won't be heading towards it because I got a problem with squirrels too. Hi, how are you? Oh, it's just you. Nobody else. It's just us chickens. Yeah. I can't remember your name. I've seen your channel before, but I can't remember your first name. But anyway, so I'm just, excited about, get all my planting, going and started. I'm really late in the season to do it, but it's just like every time I talk to my roommate, who is the actual planter, he's like, you know, you need to wait for this and you need to wait for that. This is not a good day to plant. And I was just like, oh, really? And last time he, you know, like about like a month or so ago, he's like, okay, today's the best day to plant. You need to plant today. And I was like, really? And he like sprung it on me like right at dinner time. And I was like, come on, dude. Really? So, well, it looks like there's nobody here for you all. Yeah, I know. I know. I used to have regular people come in all the time, and then I backed off on my channel. So I'm just now starting to get back into doing lives again. And I couldn't set up my live this morning because my roommate was on the computer. And I usually only go live when he's down taking a nap. So he's napping now. So I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I used to go live every day, and I don't go live every day anymore. I'm just going live twice a week. So anyway, I'm almost done because I'm actually like 10 minutes over. Like this second time I've started this live, like it's cut off before, so I wouldn't be surprised if it'll cut off again. But I'm getting ready for market. I got market Saturday. I'm working on some bloomers for a baby dress, and maybe somebody will be like, "Oh my god, that's the cutest baby dress ever! I must buy it." $70, lady. $70. Actually, that's really cheap for what I'm making it at. But, you know, I think it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, for Easter. It can be any time of the year. But it will definitely be like a showstopper. Like people will be stopping by and go, "Oh my god, look at that. Check that out. She's got wonderful skill. I'll take your card. Yay." That is the whole thing behind it. Hold on. Am I at the end of the row? No. That's my goal. To show how diverse I am. I'm going to finish this row out and then, I don't know, I just started it. I'm going to go here in a few minutes. Carrie is live. Carrie the Yarny Elephant. She is live. She stopped in here just a few minutes ago, said hi. She is live. Usually she goes live in the morning. So if you want to pop on over there and say hey to for everybody for me, I don't mind that. I don't know if I will pop over there. I should pop over there. Give myself a bathroom break and pop on over there. So what I should do is I should go ahead and set up my live for next week. Do that today while I'm thinking about it. That's what I should do. And then go on about my, you know, do my market recap. But I should make that a separate video, honestly. That's what I should do because that's what I like to watch. I love watching market recaps. and people getting ready for market. I love that stuff. That's what I like to watch. That is what rings my bell. Like knowing what's sold and what's sold, or just the stories alone from the market. Like I've had a few stories, and like I always have a story from every market. Like I always have that, a couple of interesting um, customers walk in, or characters that show up, or things happen. Like one time I was going to market and we went on the wrong day. So we couldn't find it. And on the next day, we were going to that same market, on the correct day, and then we had a flat tire. It was just like, something's telling me not to do this market. And I did okay. I sold some stuff. It wasn't too bad. It was a really small market. Like maybe, and it was for like a school event. So I'm just like, I don't know about school events anymore. Every time I do a school event, it's like the turnout's so low. And like you would have to really actively go and look for this market, like, and it was on a Sunday, and usually that's kind of like weird, because some people really don't like to go shopping on Sunday. They usually just, keep it for church only. But I think festivals are great. City events are great. I think those are the ones I'm going to do. And then also I'm also looking to do like, an established market for certain weeks, and then just kind of work that out. I just need to do that. And get my friends on board on helping me going to market. I've got a friend that I know that I can pay. She'll do it definitely if I pay her. But I don't mind paying her because I know I'm helping her out. I don't mind helping my friends out. And I need to talk to her about that. Like, it's like, hey, help me get to markets and I will pay you. Okay, I'm almost done with this row. And then I'll be done with this live. Okay. And I need to do a measure. I'm going to measure it real quick. Because I think of course I did. I dropped my hook. Okay. So this is, it's supposed to be 7.5, about 7 inches. I'm at 5.5 inches, so I still got 1.5 inches to go. So I would say each row is about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to say about 3 more rows. Anyway. Oh, you did an update video? Okay. All right. Anyways, Bye, guys. I got to head on out. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for stopping in. I think I'm going to mosey on over there to go say hi to Carrie the Yarny Elephant. And then I need to check out Moonrose Crafts. She said she did an update video. Who I think it is. It might be who I think it is. Anyways. All right. Bye, guys. I'll see y'all later. I'm going to be on Tuesday, so far as I know, at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, CST. Well, Central Standard Time, I guess you could say that. So I will see y'all then, and then we'll do like a market, recap, or I will be telling my stories of my market. Like I always have a story. There's always a lesson learned at market. Okay. All right, guys. Have a good day. I'll see y'all later. Bye. Ta-ta for now.